Welcome to Real Estate Done Rightish, your favorite podcast for realtors by realtors. I'm Jen.
And I'm Annalie, and for a combined 30 years, we've been working in this industry just trying to figure it out. And by figuring it out,
we mean we very proactively already warned our pants that we're entering a situationship and it's complicated because of Thanksgiving eating.
Are you making a declaration that you're going to go pantsless? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Yes.
Maybe just our pants with buttons. Yes. And no stretch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, these intros are hard. Guys, if you're listening and you're funnier than me, which most of you probably are, feel free to write us some. Wouldn't that be fun if we had a contest where people wrote our
Intros,
by figuring it out we mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm using AI and it feels like we're entering Thanksgiving season. And so I was like, hey, we're like a couple weeks away. That's what it gave me.
If you're already talking to your pants about Thanksgiving or
It's a
post
problem?
Thanksgiving, I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm saying that's a wild runway of eating that you plan to do.
I'm already doing it.
Oh, no.
I'm already eating.
Oh.
Not like crazy, but kind of. It's like hibernation season, you know? So I did. I went in right before I came into this here today, went into the gym and I'm like, I'm just going to do a 30-minute walk on a hill because, you know, I'm not trying to gain 15 pounds in the next 2 months.
Yeah, no, not hopefully.
Yeah.
I just was out of town and I ate a lot of cookies.
It's
and
good
a lot
to
of
enjoy.
like, things.
I think
like
it's good to
comfort
enjoy.
food.
I'm just going to say, I don't want to be one of these people. It can be a slippery slope to be like, I ate this thing and now I need to work out. I am not pro that mentality.
Yeah.
You know, it gets real messy, I think. So, you know,
I
just trying
didn't
to
work
stay
out
active.
at all and I ate a bunch of cookies.
Good for you. Congratulations. You are the example of enjoyment to live by.
That was my long weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't really eat sweets.
Oh, I do.
But dang, I made a bunch of cookies.
I'm a cookie monster.
I made like, I don't know, 5 cookies.
What? Where are they?
They're up north.
Why didn't you
I
bring
left them there because I needed to leave them away from my mouth. Because I don't eat sweet things that often. But I was like, I went a little.
You went a little nanners.
Like every night before bed, I'd just be like, I'll just have 2.
You turned into Mrs.
And they
Claus.
were like giant cookies. Yeah.
Every night before bed, I had cookies and milk.
Yeah.
Whole milk, warmed.
Okay. Well, no.
No?
No milk. But
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I went fully. It was deer hunting.
You went all in.
I was up north for deer hunting. And it was a lot of food and a lot of relaxation. So I went all in.
Did you hunt a deer?
I don't hunt deer.
Did you hug a deer?
I don't. Strange. Deers don't love to be hugged.
I don't.
I don't think so.
How do you know?
Pretty skittish, turns out.
They're skittish.
Yeah.
I know they are. I just think it's funny.
Okay,
that you
this is
said
going
that.
so many minutes of nonsensical talking, but I did ask the question. So I got there and I was up for, there's a bunch of people that hunt and I do eat deer. So I go and I help and I cook and I participate in that way because I don't want to kill a deer. Anyway, I came with the question of why don't more deer just hang out with cows? Because, hear me out, because you're looking at me weird.
Yeah. I'm wondering where we're going.
Well, because like cows get fed corn and grain and things that deer would like to eat.
Yeah.
And like alfalfa, hay, whatever, in the winter especially. And deer can like jump fences and go in with cows.
Why do you think they don't?
And then also like nobody would shoot at them because no one's going to shoot at their herd of cows and accidentally hit a cow. The consensus was just that they're so skittish. They're bred to flight. Like flight is their not bred. They're
evolution, like
evolutionary.
That's,
Yes, evolutionarily. Thank you. It's all flight. It's all just like be nervous and run.
Okay, so they didn't get any hugs. Got
Comes
it.
right back down to no hugs for the deers.
All right.
Okay. Should we talk about other things?
Yeah,
now?
let's do that. Before we do, please follow the show, share it. If we have like a private Facebook group and people are like, what podcast do you listen to? Feel free to like share ours. That'd be great. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Is that it on that?
Yeah.
Like, share, follow.
review, follow.
Okay, super. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're going to kind of stick with we're going to talk about we prepped it last week. We're talking about a little bit compartmentalizing as an entrepreneur. So how do you stay focused in times that are hard to focus?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of. And then we're doing kind of an Ask Me Anything. It was kind of a topic touched on by a couple people talking about home prep. And we're going to kind of play a little game surrounding that.
I
We're gonna
love games.
Tell some stats and then talk a little bit about that. Should we start with compartmentalization, or which one did you want to start with? I can't remember. We just talked about
I
this.
don't know. What do you think the listeners want, Annalie?
Oh, well, compartmentalization's at the top of my
Well,
page.
then let's do that then first.
Let's talk about that first. That's probably the more sad and depressing topic. No, I'm just
We
kidding.
like to start with deep stuff.
Well, I mean, can we share this?
Yeah,
how
we
this
can
came
share.
up?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you touched on it last week. Like
Yeah.
you were having some personal things. Why don't you tell? Because it's your story. But,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I have 3 daughters, and as it goes in life when you have children and partners and friends and whomever else, life shows up sometimes, like hard things come up, and I'm in a season of that right now. And so some days are trickier than others, and and then some days are not. But part of that, whatever that was last week when I showed up, I had just come off of like a tricky day for me where I was feeling a little more emotional, a little more mentally consumed by what was going on, and just thought like, man, this is challenging as an entrepreneur. And I felt this kind of like, I'm going to use the word resistance and almost guilt. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, it feels kind of weird to me sometimes when you have something tough going on in life to then I have actually had people, like a person that I dated, be like, how can you just flip that switch? Then I'd get online and like do a video, or I'd get in front of a room and lead a training for 70 people or whatever. Like I didn't have a choice but to flip a switch after my dad died or things happened. You can like let people know you're going through a hard thing, but you still have to show up. And so there's this, I'm going to call it a skill, but there can be a downside if you're not like feeling the feelings that are hard. The skill to be able to like put the blinders on for a period of time and switch into go mode. But it's hard as an entrepreneur, I think. And I've been an entrepreneur, and I've also been in a paid position. Some positions are employee. Yeah. Some are easier than others. But when you're like a data entry person, I'm thinking about early college, the jobs that I had. If I had something tough going on in life, I could just show up and still enter the data and kind of mope around if I wanted and like sit at my desk and eat. I didn't have to be on in front of clients and bring good energy and do all the things and prospect for business and keep the machine going.
Yeah, like be driving things forward.
Yeah. So that's where, I mean, that's more than you asked for, but that's where this came from, was like, how do you do that as an entrepreneur? Whether it's fear or grief or challenges in relationships or anything that's health issues, like new babies, new whatever stuff happens, how do you show up? Yeah.
I think right away, what I would say is kind of if you look at the employee versus entrepreneurial differences, right? If you just look at that on a baseline level, as an employee, there is typically also more of a guideline of what you'd show up and do every day. So it is a little bit easier to just like plug in, do the tasks. Like I have only had a few jobs. That were
She's avoided them, folks.
No, but one of them was, it was in the real estate industry. I was like head of operations for an office. And I remember this is jumping out at me particularly because on Mondays I did these tasks. I mean, there were daily tasks that I had to keep up with every day, and I did trainings and I did some other things, but then it was like, every Monday I do this. Every Tuesday I do these 4 things. Every Wednesday, it was like very much my days were like,
you knew what you were going to do.
I could do them in whatever order I wanted, but I had things I had to do. And if I didn't do them on Tuesday because I was sick, then Wednesday was going to be a really long, really hard day because it was like they were blocked out to make sense of the big picture, right? And so when you show up and you know what you have to complete that day, I think it's a little bit easier to put the blinders on, as you say. Like it is a little bit difficult to have the question in your, or like the conversation with yourself that says like, what do I have to get done today? Or like, do I have to do anything today? And that's question number one. And then it's like, well, wait, also, how do I have good energy while doing this? How do I still do the things that don't have to get done, but like the should get done, or the, you know, like how much can I take on, and what's important? And yeah. And I think that, I don't know if you're anything like me, it's very easy for me to be like, well, one more day on that won't be a big deal.
Yeah.
And then one more day because you're in a hard time. And then pretty soon one more day is 3 months later, that project has not gotten accomplished or whatever it is. So, and I think that if people are anything like me, the things that we don't want to do are usually the things that are going to bring in business, right?
It's the non-urgent things that can wait that tend to be the ones that are actually the most important.
Yeah. Or the things we want to cancel off our calendar, which is like lead gen, follow-up calls, whatever your
client
thing
calls,
is that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I got a whole list of them.
Yeah. I don't want it. And I think that it's like a loop that can feed itself. So you feel kind of crummy and you don't do the things that you know would be good to get done. And then that weighs on you, and then that feeds into the crumminess. And so it's like, how do you stop the cycle while sort of honoring what's happening in life? I guess that's what we're talking about. So I was wishing that we would number these before we started this, but let me just count these real quick, because I feel like people like to have a list of like the top.
Okay.
Say how many.
I'm also going to start while you're counting or you're looking. I'm going to start with, what does compartmentalizing mean? So what's the definition? And it's super simple. It's just dividing into sections or categories. So if we're talking about compartmentalizing, it's really, how do we honor and focus on life and compartmentalize and go over here, and in this section, honor and compartmentalize the business stuff. So just like, I would say separating those two things, and then within those two sections, how do we deal? How do we manage?
It's great. I think we have 10 here, which is convenient.
Ooh.
We might have 9, but I bet you're going to come up with one that I didn't think of. So, okay.
We'll see.
Where I start, because I don't think it's healthy just to stuff emotions. I think it's not healthy to do that. I think
that's been proven by science.
Right. There's some science involved. Your body keeps the score, all this stuff.
Yeah. A few people have mentioned that before.
I like to start by acknowledging how I'm feeling and like witnessing it, whatever it is, and you don't even have to necessarily name the feeling. You can if you want, but just acknowledging like, this is hard right now. This sucks. I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm really preoccupied. And sometimes for me it is like, it's feeling frustrated and going to the gym, or sometimes it is like, I can feel, even when I get like anxious energy, for some of you, this might feel like a lot, but I feel like the people that listen are going to be down with this.
Probably.
Like for me, and you've probably heard it said, like, emotion is energy in motion. And so emotion is not necessarily bad. It's energy moving. And when you stuff the energy, it gets stuffed, and it causes tension in our body and stress and elevated heart rate. So sometimes, even if I'm not feeling sad, I can tell that my body wants to cry. Like, it's like there's emotion that I'm dampening for whatever reason. If I just let it happen, it moves through me pretty quickly. And sometimes I don't even need to understand why I was crying. It's just energy moving.
Yeah.
And then I can compartmentalize more easily. Like, because I've given myself that moment, I've paid attention to that part of me. I think it's, I'm going to say his name wrong. He's a Buddhist, Thich Nhat Hanh. I can't remember what he talks about self-compassion in this. Like,
nailed it.
Yeah. TICHT, and I don't know. Anyways, that self-compassion of like going to that part of yourself and sort of mothering yourself. He actually uses that term. And when you do that, I was actually meditating this morning. There's this incessant thought that kept coming back in my head, just this thing I was preoccupied with this morning. And in the meditation, it said, if there's something that keeps popping up in your mind and it's kind of relentless, put your focus on it now. And as soon as I put my focus on it, it dissipated. It was the first time I'd done that. Mm-hmm. And then the person that was leading the meditation was like, did you notice what happened to it? It very likely dissipated. Because when you resist it, it persists.
Yeah.
So like putting your focus on it, giving it some attention, having some self-compassion, that's usually where I start. And then I can kind of table it and set it aside and go, okay, now what? Now what's the next step?
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts about that?
Do
you baby yourself?
Every day. I don't know. I don't know. I just ate a lot of cookies. That seems like it's right in line with that.
It seems like a good mothering tactic.
When you were saying that, I was thinking about the letting emotions flow. Sometimes when I'm really busy and I'm really focused and I'm like really paying attention to only feeding myself the good things, not literally, not cookies.
Feeding your mind the good things.
Right. So I'm listening to podcasts that aren't just for fun. They're like business, building, self-help, whatever, self-growth things. I'm reading that. I'm not reading books for fun. I'm like really focusing on just all of the inputs being like purposeful and business oriented or bettering oriented. Sometimes I'll just have to stop and like put music on and say, hold on, I just need to feel for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I'm just taking all these little bits in, and I'm not letting myself just
embody it
and kind of sit in it and flow, like let it flow through you and whatever it might be. And so, and I'll do that either in seasons where I will maybe only bring in the inputs that are important or deemed important in my brain. And then for a week, I may just listen to music when I'm in my car or when I'm working out or when I'm doing whatever, just because I need to just say stop and just let everything kind of simmer and flow. So that's just one example of the, like
letting things
sometimes
be.
Just or letting, almost creating space for the emotions to show up.
That's good.
And kind of feel them and let them flow.
Okay, for those of you that like to be linear like me sometimes, number 1 is self-compassion. Number 2 is creating space for emotions to move. We're making a list of 10 things.
I love it.
Okay, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. Hit me.
Hit me with your best shot.
Hit me on number 3.
Okay.
I don't know what any of these
This
are.
is your
This is so exciting.
time blocking.
Oh, I do know what this
You
one
do
is.
know what this is because you talked about it. So, setting aside time. I use the example, and I think you have very similar examples to this. The day after my dad passed, I was in the middle of negotiations with a really tough transaction. It had fallen apart. We had a second offer. The client was in stage 4 cancer treatment. He was very frustrated. It was very hard. And I had a team at the time, but I was like, I cannot hand this off. And I remember before I made that phone call to this client and negotiating and knew he was going to be like angry at me, he had no idea my dad passed literally the night before. And I just told myself, like, you just need to have this conversation. It's going to take you 15 minutes. And after you do that, then you can fall apart again.
Yeah.
And whether that's 15 minutes, and that's maybe a more like quote unquote extreme example.
For sure.
But it might be like you're really preoccupied with a relationship challenge you're going through and you need to focus for 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is. So time blocking on both ends, being able to say, I'm blocking out time right now for this thing that's really important for my business that has to get done. Or maybe it's not urgent, but maybe like I don't want to give away the next thing, but then also time blocking for the other thing, being able to go tell your brain and tell yourself, just chill out for a second. I'm going to get back to you, but right now I got to focus on this thing with my business. Sometimes you need to tell yourself that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, depending on what the personal thing is. You know, maybe it's literally every morning you need to be time blocking an hour to be doing a self check-in and an emotional check-in. And that's meditation, and that's breath work, and that's stretching, and that's journaling, whatever that looks like. And then based on that hour, you're looking at your day and you're saying, okay, what do I have the capacity for today? So I have these 3 appointments. Those are time blocked out. What else do I have the capacity for? And is it a 10-hour day? Is it a 14-hour day? I'm like, for instance, I'm coming off of several days off, as I mentioned.
Cookie eating, deer hugging, chasing the deers.
There's cookies and hugs. And so today, for instance, I have time blocked out my whole day until 10 p.m. I already have food cooked.
I don't do that.
But I already have food. Because I have the capacity today, and I know that tonight there are things I can work on that will push big projects forward. That I can work on when I'm tired. When I'm kind of done. And so I have 3 to 4 hours of work time blocked out tonight after I eat dinner, like late night stuff. And because this morning when I got up, and yesterday kind of looking at my day, I said, well, I just took these days off. These are the things that I need to move forward this week. If I look at my whole week, when am I going to be able to do that? And today I know I have the capacity. I'm coming off time off. I'm fresh. I'm rested. Today is going to be a big day. So I think that, again, time blocking can be, I only can take on 1 hour today. Because I have this big thing. We talked about before this, I took care of my dad, and there were times where when my dad was sick, there were days where I had to call and literally get a babysitter because he couldn't get left alone. And I needed to just go and focus for 2 hours on work. I was always, on call. I was able to work, but I was there. I wasn't able to really focus.
Totally
I was a little checked out. And so there were certain days where I would literally get a quote unquote babysitter, and I would leave and I just go to a coffee shop and I would say, okay, in this 2 hours, I need to get these 3 things done. I have to start pushing some things forward. And so, I think in different seasons or depending on what's going on in your life, there may be times where it's a 12-hour day like mine today. And there may be times where you're time blocking out an hour. And so it's capacity and then importance and all of the things.
That's good.
So I think time blocking can be like, I used to hate the idea of time blocking because I don't like being controlled. Even if it's myself controlling me. I have a real resistance to that. And now I also think it's so powerful because if it's not control, it's choosing. And it's choosing to get myself towards goals is really what I look at.
It's giving yourself a framework. I like that too, because the way that I time block is usually, unless I have appointments, it's the hardest things to do and the most important things that are going to move the business forward. It's not like things on a to-do list for me necessarily that I block on my calendar. It's, lead generation, lead follow-up, right now video editing, like that kind of stuff. And so those are the things I put on my calendar, and then I let the rest of the day happen, and I tackle my to-dos in between as I can. What was I gonna? There was something I was gonna say about. The first thing that you might do when you're time blocking is actually time block a time to sit down and figure out what the priorities are. So if you're like in a tough season in life, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or like it's fourth quarter and I've got to overhaul my business, that episode that we had when you're like, I'm just going to blow the whole thing up.
Well, hence the 12-hour day right now. I'm still doing it.
Yeah. So starting with a session where you sit down and go ask yourself, you can use AI or whatever, what are the questions I need to ask myself right now to realize what the priorities are, and just get clear on where should I be spending my time. And then the other thing I'll say with time blocking, I heard this in a training somewhere, and I'm sure there's some book on it, like tuning into when your energy is at its peak and throughout the day, and when you go into valleys. And then, like you just said, you'll do a certain kind of work at night after dinner that matches the energy you have at that point, versus where is your peak energy, and do the challenging or most mentally rigorous things during peak energy time. Like think about that in your time blocking.
For sure.
Okay, good on that?
I think so.
Okay. That was number 3.
Okay.
Okay. Number 4, put blinders on. Oopsie daisy. Sorry for that bang.
That was just Jen putting her blinders on.
Just really putting them on hard.
She's actually wearing a helmet right now.
Yes.
Awkward.
What does it mean to put blinders on? Or how do you do that?
Well,
Do you do that?
I think it depends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this as well, about, I think if you have an ADD, ADHD brain, like I absolutely have, that even looks a little bit different. I've had to really start to learn some tips and tricks to get through a task. Like it's not even just distraction by life. Sometimes it's just distraction. Like our world is so distracting.
Yeah.
And everyone's world is. I mean, the world is. And so how do I trick my brain into focusing for more than 5 minutes on something without, I mean, I probably have 30 tabs open on my computer, and I will be in the middle of one task and see a tab and click into that and start a different, I mean, it's off the rails.
I'm not trying to judge you right now, but that
You
is
are
so
judging.
inefficient. You're losing so much energy and time.
Oh,
going
I'm
between things.
well aware. I don't want to be, I mean, I probably need medication. I don't want to be this way.
Should we go get tested for ADHD together?
It's really hard.
To get tested? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
As an adult, I've heard nightmare stories of it can take over a year. I mean, maybe
what?
correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe we just
anybody.
keep living the way we are then.
Oh, well, I'm trying to figure some things out. But so you mentioned like you don't time block for everything. I, the other day, found a brain hack for me. I don't do it every day, but it was, okay, take your to-do list and take the top 8 things that have to get done today. And then I time blocked for them. And I said, okay, between 9:30 and 10:30, you're going to get these 3 things done. Between 10:30 and 11:30, you're going to get these 3 things just done. Whatever. I kind of like made a map. And then I did the first one and did not stop doing it until I got done. And then I was also watching the clock, and I was noticing that like one of them, I had a phone call that came in that I had to take. So it was, but I was like, no, I'm still just giving myself this 1 hour for these things. So there had been some time not focused. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, I have 20 minutes and I still have these 2 tasks, and I still got them done because I just went into like overdrive go mode.
Yeah.
And so, and that helped me focus. But then the next day, my brain, again, problematic, said like, no, we're not doing that today. So I couldn't do it every day. But
Interesting,
so blinders for me can mean so many different things. It can mean sitting at my desk in my home office instead of sitting at my couch or on my couch working. So I'll like do my first round of emails, having coffee, sitting on my couch. But then when I move to the office, it's more focused.
Yeah.
It can be moving outside of my house, coming into the office. Depends on what the tasks are, but there's, it can be like putting on a certain kind of music in the background. Like did you know that there's just like focused music stations?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So it's just frequencies that help your brain focus.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So like putting some of that on and saying, okay, for the next 2 hours, I'm just doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
And again, going through certain things. So I don't know. I think there's like a million little tips and tricks, but I would say for me, tricking myself.
Well, along the time
Through
frame
these-
thing, I think
yeah.
that's huge. I am recalling somewhere that I heard somebody say like the work will take up the time that you allot
Yeah.
it. And I'm thinking about, when we were getting the Purple House ready to go on the market, the insane amount of things that we had to do. And then phone calls I was getting from literally a dozen contractors a day and like just crazy stuff. Everything always got done. And I was the most efficient I'd ever been. Probably not the kindest, most patient person ever because I was whipping through things, but or people say, if you ever have to go on vacation, like notice how you get everything done before you go.
Yeah.
I think it's more than a tip or trick. I do think it's like, again, another way to set structure and framework so that you're like, nope, I'm going to get it done within this time. And one of the tricks that I would use for myself if it was something I really didn't want to do was a reward at the end of it. Even if it was just like a latte, it was like, block out this time. As soon as you're done, you get to go do XYZ. You get to go work out. You get to go meet your friend. You get to whatever. When I was recruiting, after I made a certain number of calls, it was that get to go walk around the office. As an extrovert, like shutting my door and staying in the office was so hard, but I'd reward myself with social time. Like, you just find the little tricks that work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Because none of that wouldn't work for me. And you know why?
Why?
Because I just give myself the reward when I got sick of doing the task anyway.
That's so amazing.
Because I'm just like, whatever, I make the rules.
Yeah.
So literally, I
You're
really
a rebel.
don't. Yeah.
Yes.
Only against myself, really.
So kind of along the lines of putting on blinders, I think though that was like creating structure, but I would also say just removing distractions. It seems kind of basic, but whether it's the tabs on your computer or it's, for me, like I have to leave my house, which leads into the next one. But if laundry is a distraction for me in my place or whatever it is, like find the things that are distracting you and remove those so that you can like put the blinders on and focus, which leads into the next one. So getting into a new environment.
Yeah.
Like
I said that too.
Yeah. So
Also, I mean, during COVID, when I was home all the time because I was a listing agent and I was doing all my listing appointments on Zoom and I was going to the house once to do a walkthrough and that was it. Just getting up and getting ready in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Like saying, okay, it's time to shower or just time to like put real pants on. Back to the pants thing. It's, and I think those are little tricks for your brain to say it's focus time now. So if you're working from home or if you're coming into the office, but you're distracted, is it when you shut your door or is it when you turn a certain light on? Like in my office here, I will put a lamp on and turn the overhead light off. The overhead light comes on automatically in my office. It's got like a special auto switch. So I have to manually turn it off. So when I get everything set and I plug into my second screen and I do my little rituals, then it's focus time. So what are those little things?
If anybody's not watching this, you just did this little move and you said, do my little rituals. And then I imagined, what dogs do when they circle before they
That's what I do before I sit down.
That's like you. Like you.
A little bit. Well, it's, I get my coffee, I get my water, I have
like
my
all
little
your little
things.
things.
Yeah.
And then you finally.
Then I can sit down and I can focus. Yeah. But I think having those also, they're triggers.
They're cues
for your brain.
How
cues
you
for your
build
brain, right? So
Yeah.
it is telling your brain it's okay,
time.
This is now time. We have
We're
everything we
getting
need. We're going.
Yeah, that's good. So, okay. I'm going to be done. We're going to be done with this section in just a minute. But to recap so far, self-compassion is number one. Number two is give yourself space to feel the emotions. Number three is time blocking. Number four is putting on blinders. Number five is getting into a new environment. And then we kind of touched on this before we went into the first thing, which was sometimes as an entrepreneurial person, let's say you're going to go have a big listing appointment or you're teaching a class or those are probably, or a networking event, or I don't know, you're throwing a party for your clients or something like that. You have to be able to find a way to shift energy to some degree. If you can't completely shift energy, we talked about this in COVID, you can just say, hey guys, remember Simon Sinek talked about this from a leadership standpoint too, that you acknowledge there's something really powerful about saying, I'm having a tough day today and I'm not showing up the way that I would prefer to show up right now, but I wanted to offer that to you and let you know that that's where I'm at. And I'm so grateful you're here. I'm grateful to be at the table with you. I'm going to give you everything I got right now. But XYZ.
Yeah.
My dad died yesterday. Wah, wah. I don't know that I would say that. Really, but I had times like that when I would lead in front of a meeting when I'm just like, there's no way I can fake it today fully,
Yeah.
And if you know that you can't, quote unquote, fake it, I think, and I would reluctantly even call it faking it, because I think there are ways to actually shift your energy where it's not faking it. But would you add anything to that?
Well, I think there's shifting your energy and then there's, being a real person.
Yeah.
So if it's not possible, I mean, I had recently clients, buy side clients, I had not slept more than 15 minutes the night before.
Oh.
I just had a night of, I could not sleep.
Yeah.
I didn't feel great. I got zero rest.
Yeah.
And I showed up kind of looking like I got no sleep the night before because I didn't have the capacity to even fake it.
Yeah.
I was feeling very discombobulated and all over the place. And it was to look at a couple of homes. We were looking at 2 houses, but I did show up and I just said, hey, I might not seem like myself today. I don't know what happened last night. I literally got 0 minutes of sleep and I'm struggling today.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do my best and I'm here and we're going to rock this. And if
Just so
you
you
notice
know.
something, that's what it is. It's not a big deal, because also I think that you don't want
people to misread that.
Right. You don't want them to think like, oh, she doesn't really want to be here. Or
what's it called? A bender?
yeah, she went on a bender. Wow, she looked like crap.
She
today.
looked like hell
She looked
today.
horrible today. She must have. What did she do last night? No, or that you aren't like really in it for them. That you're kind of showing up
Totally.
halfway. So, and then as far as shifting energy, I think again there's a bunch of tips and tricks on ways to do that. Do you listen to certain music before you get there? Do you listen to like affirmations reel or meditation or something? What's going to get your brain into let's go? Are you going to drink some pre-workout?
You got a Red Bull or two.
Yes. When I usually listen to music specifically on my way to a listing appointment, especially if I don't know the people, because I still have social anxiety when I don't know someone. Even I am an
How
introvert.
did I never know that?
Oh,
I
I'm
never
an
knew that.
introvert through and through.
Yeah.
And I just have like a little anxiety feathers up of like, oh, I don't know these people. I'm gonna have to like get to know them.
Yeah.
That sounds hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like work for my brain to do
yeah.
those things. And so I listen to music that's really upbeat and I usually am singing and if it's nice out, the windows are down, there's a little ritual that I have to get my brain like, okay, let's go. We're ready.
That's so good. Okay, I'm going to add to the shifting energy thing, and maybe these are 6A, B, C, and D, which makes it 10. Okay.
Oh, so it's number 6, but then we've got iterations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love
That's
it.
like 10 total things.
Great.
I think most of the ones that I have, and you've already mentioned a couple, they're science backed. So, changing states, which is just changing your physical body. There was one example I heard at were you at the Tony Robbins thing?
Like shape-shifting?
Yes, shape-shifting. You become someone new. Were you at the Tony Robbins thing at family reunion or whatever?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
Anyways, he talked about during the Cold War. Oh God, you know that I shouldn't be trying to talk about Ronald Reagan and whoever else he met with.
Yeah, this feels like a topic we should not go into in detail.
No, it was a political situation where they were negotiating a really high stakes thing, and the two people were like not, some history buff is going to be like, I can't believe you don't know these people. But anyways, they were not seeing eye to eye, and there were 2 different scenarios where Ronald Reagan, like when they were not seeing eye to eye, he said, let's go take a walk. That was one of them. And then they found a solution in that moment. And that was just one of many examples. But then there's science that backs this, that when you change your physical being, what you're doing, how you're showing up, how you're moving, it changes your energy. Again, it moves energy differently.
Well,
So
on that topic, have you heard of, like if you're at a listing appointment, say, and you feel like the people are resistant to signing documents or reluctant to talk about a certain thing, that you get up and you sit on the same side of the table as them.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
So because it literally puts you on the same side of the table as them and takes like the physical barrier out of the way.
Yeah.
And just saying like, oh, let me just come over there. Then we can all kind of look at this in the same fashion. And we're just going to look at this as a team and kind of work through this.
That's so good.
Literally shifting
physical state. Yeah. So that's a big one. The other thing is visualization. And I've been doing a lot of this for a long time, but especially recently, like I don't think I shared it on an episode, but I did tell you several of the books that I've been reading of talking about like creating your ideal day and your future self. And I had been doing this. And then one of the books that I was reading recommended doing this. I was like, yeah, I'm on the right track. that you write out your future day and your future self in an ideal day, and then you record yourself reading it out loud because you trust your own voice. And so then every morning I'll listen to that, like my future, it's all present tense. And you guys see this, like, I'm sure if you watch football, if you watch sports, you will see players sitting on the sideline in an empty stadium before it starts. What are they? They're visualizing. Like I just saw on another podcast, a woman talking about, there was a study of people who were visualizing lifting weights and didn't lift any weights. And after like 21 days, they had gained 12% more muscle mass. Like, I might be getting the stat wrong, but it was,
seems like a lot.
This was on Diary of CEO. Yeah. Okay. So it was like a real, he was like, for real. So there's a lot of power in visualization. So if you're
that's how I learned how to drive a stick shift?
No.
I could not drive a stick shift. I practiced multiple times. I was killing this car, could not get it. And then I had to drive my sister to the airport.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to drive it in her car.
Yeah.
And then I had to drive her car home from the airport on my own. Oh. And it was a stick shift.
Yeah.
And there was no other option. And so the night before, I was like, couldn't sleep. I was having anxiety. And I visualized over and over again the idea of like clutch gas.
Yeah.
Or clutch brake gas, like that.
Yeah.
And I just kept visualizing it, and I didn't kill the car at all the next day.
That's
like I
crazy.
could fully just drive a stick shift.
Oh, that's perfect.
But it was like hours at that night of
visualizing
and feeling it in my body, and like just thinking of it over and over and over.
The wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only success.
Yeah. That's so good.
And I like got lost on the way home from the airport, and I was stuck on this incline behind a giant semi and still didn't, and I had to just go a few feet and then stop. Never killed it. It was amazing.
That is amazing. What a great example. Yeah. Yeah. So if it's not your future self, it could be just something like that. Okay. I'm going to go on a big listing appointment. I'm struggling. I'm having this tough day. Sit down for 15 minutes before you go and visualize it going well. Visualize yourself walking in with the kind of energy that you want to have. Like, I like to ask when I'm leading visualizations, like, how are you walking? How are you carrying yourself? How are you speaking? What are you wearing? Like, what's your facial expression when you meet the people? So as much detail as you can to visualize it going the way that you want to. And that's super powerful.
Yeah.
Shifting your energy. This is such a little thing, but it's kind of like changing states. Changing your physical state. There was one guy that said he was in a leadership position leading a big company, and he'd have a tough night or a tough day or whatever, and he'd know that he's got a big day in the office, and before he'd get off the elevator, he had kind of a ritual where he'd straighten his tie and he'd stand up straight and he'd say, okay, it's Joe time. And it was just a signal to his brain to say, I'm switching gears. It, I guess, brings it back to compartmentalization. Just like how do we shut that off and tell our brain, okay, I'm shifting my energy now. Here we go.
Yeah.
And so I had a similar thing that I would do.
Spinning before in the dog bed.
Yes. Spinning before you sit down like a dog. I spin in circles 12 times counterclockwise, and then I sniff something.
To be clear, I don't really do that.
I don't know. I want to see now and walk in your office and watch you like
I just sit down and I spin in my chair over and over again.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Okay. That's good. Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything else that you would add to how to have success as an entrepreneur when life is showing up?
Oh, God.
In the compartmentalization
I don't know if anybody knows. Please call me and tell me. No, I think making a plan.
Yeah.
And then honoring that plan.
Yeah.
Is, if you can start with that, and sometimes it is just grit. Sometimes it's all these tips and tricks. Sometimes but we didn't talk about this, I don't think, yet today, but why are we doing this? And is there a big enough, because some people have the luxury in real estate, especially, to just say, I'm in a really tough season right now. I'm taking care of a sick parent, or I just had somebody die. I'm done. I'll decide when I come back to work. I'm going to take some time, and I'm just going to not do this right now.
Yeah.
And so that's great if that's a luxury that you have. If you don't have that luxury, I think going back to your goal setting and your big why and saying, do I need to shift this, or do I need to honor this? And do I need to show up for myself and my family or whoever it is? And even though it's going to be hard, what does that look like? So kind of just going back to making a plan that supports your original big why or your original goals or an adjusted set. Because depending on what we're talking about, if it's getting through a couple days, you might just need to change your location.
Yeah.
And that's good enough to get you there. If we're talking about something that's going to be hard for a couple of years, which I'm just coming out of, I feel like, that's going to take a lot of
to pull you through
planning and promising yourself things and then saying this is worth fulfilling the promise to myself, you know? And so again, what's behind it and just
so good.
really digging into that.
That's number 10, because we just did 6, A, B, and C.
That's
and
D.
So that's no,
Make a plan.
no. This is 10.
Oh, number 10.
Well,
We just jumped right to 10.
6, 7, 8, 9.
10.
It really was 6, 7, 8, 9, effectively.
Sure. I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We did talk about it before we record a little bit, and I love that you're ending on this because. Yeah, I feel like for me right now in the season that I'm in, getting this plane off the ground is what I keep saying. What it feels like, okay, finally, it's taken off now. But it's been almost a year, and it's been challenging for sure, very challenging at times. And what pulls me through on the tough days is the why. And my why right now, and it might change, but it is the vision of the future life that I have. I'm building a business to support the life that I want to live. And so there's a million whys within that.
Right.
And that's also part of why I listen to that my future day in the life every day, because on the tough days, I'm reminded like, oh, you don't want to do this today, but it is building towards that. And thankfully I can say right now that it's working and it is building towards that. Now there's momentum there. So that makes it much easier when I'm like, oh, some of this stuff is working. Oh my God, I didn't think it was going to work and it's working. So the pulling me through on those tough days is the load is lighter now. And it won't always probably be that way, but that's huge to have that why, whatever that why is, to come back to that when you're not feeling motivated. And then one thing you said, last thing I'll say on this, sort of that, just like pinpoint what you were saying is the making a plan. And I would say make the plan when you think you can be like your best, you know, when you're like fresh, like, you know, you're fresh and you're off something and you sit down and you're not like slapping a plan together. You're really intentional, I guess, with it. And then that caring about yourself, this is effectively what you said. I'm just repeating what you said to really like emphasize it. But like caring about yourself, respecting yourself, and not negotiate with that intentional version of you. So you're not going to come back and like self-sabotage basically what the best version of yourself laid out. Yeah. You're going to honor that. I think it's huge. Yeah.
And I think we could maybe have a whole portion of an episode where we talk about big why and what does that mean and how do you get there? Because for years I heard that term and I was just like, I don't have one.
Do you feel like you have one now?
I don't know what my big capital BIGY is, but I know what a bunch of my little whys are that are like leading up to that. And I think that's kind of a trick that people don't talk about, which we literally have a whole section on because, you know, you'll hear people use the example, I'm going to do like an eye roll and I don't mean this at all, but you know, they'll be like, I'm going to build a school in a third world country or whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, well, that's great. And I love that for you. But if I don't have this burning hole in my stomach thing that's building
if I don't have a giant sized ulcer in my body
to build an orphanage, you know, okay, what's mine? And I'm like, well, then, so do you just make one up? Because you want to feel like you have one.
Make a note. We're going to talk about this big why. Yeah. Like let's do a whole episode on how to uncover it.
Love it.
Okay. But actually, will you make a note in your notebook so we don't forget, please?
Yes.
Real quick, for anybody that's listening right now and you're in the middle of business planning, can we talk about this next week? We do this big why thing next week?
Yeah, because I also think we should talk some business planning stuff around
great.
it. So I think that can be our whole episode is big why and business planning.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks.
I wish we could do a business planning thing with people next year. Yeah, I was just going to say very quickly, my big why is freedom. And like, I used to feel a little bit guilty about not having it be attached to something monumental. I do trust and believe that because I have all these ideas, that when I have an abundance of wealth flowing, I will be contributing in a lot of different ways to society. But that, I think sometimes we pick those out of guilt. Like we think we should be doing that. And so that's why we do. I have realized over time that what gets me lit up more than anything else is knowing that I have options and choice and that I don't feel trapped. And so what that looks like and why that's important to me, there's a myriad of things underneath that. But my big why is freedom. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
There are things under that, but yeah.
Right.
Okay. We'll talk about it more next week. Okay.
Okay.
We did it. We're not done yet though. We got through that list.
Great. All 6.
You want to do the staging home prep thing?
/10. Yeah. Well, this is our little bit of Ask Me Anything.
Yep.
So we had multiple people, or it came up multiple times, kind of, where do you focus when you're prepping a home? What's worth it? What's not? There were iterations on this. So we're just going to make our own iteration.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about home prep. I think that right now, the way the market is, probably more important than it's been. Home prep is more important than it's been in the last 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
7, 8 years. There are markets where I don't think this is important, to be quite honest. And the reason I say that is the foreclosure market was a great example. Foreclosures were full of garbage sometimes, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that was that market.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that in 2020, 2021, it mattered much less. You know, I had people where the house, they didn't get it as ready as I would like. I wasn't there to hold their hand. I wasn't there in person all the time. Sometimes I would get pictures back and I'd be like, oh,
yay.
okay, well, this is something. And it would sell in one day.
Yeah.
With 12 offers.
Yeah.
So I think there are markets that are outliers, but I think we're coming into a market, or we are firmly in a market where I think it matters. I think we are in a market of pricing and presentation, not one or the other, right now. And so we're going to play a little game.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of
We
this
don't have
game.
45 minutes on this now.
Nope, we've
have
got a
8.
few. Well, just don't talk a lot.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So first, I want to say that the reason presentation is important is that people don't have vision, right? So you had mentioned that you looked up the stat. I've been using this for years. I think I heard it at a training years and years and years ago, that only 4% of the population has vision. So I tell all my clients that.
Meaning that only 4% of people can come into a home and see the potential of what it could be, or imagine their own furniture in it, or whatever.
Exactly. They literally cannot envision anything other than what you're presenting to them.
Yeah.
Whether
That's a big deal.
Paint color,
Yeah.
whether that's whatever. I think another thing that I would touch on and that I always bring up to my clients is that if a buyer wants to make a change, they are typically going to put a price tag on that change that is 10 to 20 times as much as it actually costs. I mean, we've gotten feedback recently, like we would want to paint the whole main level. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, well, it's going to price us out of this home.
What?
Like, my painter will come over and do that for you before closing. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And then that kind of goes hand in hand with a little bit of who are these people? Who are the agents representing these people that are having these questions? And do they have the knowledge to guide them through? Right. I think that there's a lot of people that don't. They don't
Right.
know this stuff. And so they're also like, well, yeah, I've never had to hire a painter before.
Yeah.
I live in an apartment.
Yeah.
And if your agent is not the agent on the other side, bringing a buyer through a listing, for example, is literally saying, well, I don't know how much it would be cost to paint
Yeah.
a 4,000 square foot house top to bottom.
Oh, geez.
You know, ooh, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Or they're throwing a number out that's like, well, it's probably going to be $8,000 to $10,000. Okay. So
we're going to need to do a whole episode on this, because we could talk about
lots of different, it's from lots of different iterations.
We're not doing a whole episode.
Doing that.
No, we're not.
Today.
Annalie.
The game is going to be, and we're going to go back and forth.
Oh.
You can only tell your client to do 3 things to their house. Okay. And we're just going to say this house is not updated, not clean,
Oh,
not organized.
okay.
It's kind of on the
It needs some
needs
love.
more than needs less.
Okay.
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 So there's lots of things that we could pick, like everything, right? What's the number one thing you would say first?
This is actually hard. The number one thing that I would say first, I'm going to call it declutter.
Yeah.
I think you have to have more of a palette to work with than not. And if there's shit everywhere, it's really hard to see. So
I call it par down and pack.
Okay.
I don't call it declutter.
Yeah, that's
because I
great.
think people associate
They don't
that
want their stuff
with
being called
their
clutter
stuff.
either.
And also, but I'm bringing all this with me, so where do I put it? And they declutter is like, but that's what hoarders do. And
Fair enough,
I
yeah.
live here, and all this stuff is going
Yeah,
in my new house.
yeah.
And it's going to look like this there.
Yeah.
So what do you mean declutter? So I
Yeah.
call it, I just have framed it differently.
Okay,
but
that's great,
I
yeah.
would say that's my number one as well. So
Yeah.
mine would be pack up and par down, meaning if something right now today is, it's not coming to your next home, get rid of it now.
Yep.
Don't pay movers to move it.
Yeah.
Don't make your Uncle Frank carry it.
Yeah.
And let's get it out before we ever get the house in the
Mm-hmm.
market, and then start packing. And I will kind of do an overview also of seasonal clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go camping between now and the time you move. Pack up your camping stuff that's in the
all the
basement.
stuff,
Like
yeah.
anything you're not using between now and when we're planning to get you into the new house, get it in boxes marked, and then we talk
Get it
about free
out.
zones of where they can put those boxes.
Do we
But
put
pack.
depersonalization underneath that too? Probably. Take all the photos down. Not all of them. We don't need to get into that. That's a big-
Maybe.
that's a
I mean,
whole-
it could be. Yeah. Par down could be that. I'm pretty specific about personal stuff.
I am too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your second thing? And nothing is updated. Nothing is that clean.
Well, I would say, yeah. Second thing is probably a deep clean.
Yeah.
Like,
Same. I was going to say professional cleaners, especially if it's
Yeah.
really dirty. Because what I've learned is that people that have a dirty house aren't really good at cleaning. I know.
I know she's hitting the table, guys. I told her she couldn't hit the table today because we have new mic stands and we're getting boom on the editing, and I don't want to edit out all those noises.
But right,
She
so-
just, are you sitting on your hands right now?
No.
That's great.
I just put them away.
Yeah, people don't really know what it means to clean if they don't clean.
Yeah, what does deep cleaning really mean? Or, moving is stressful. I moved a couple years ago, and I myself took my dogs somewhere. I also have 2 little dogs.
Yeah.
I took my dogs to a different location.
Oh, yeah.
I hired cleaners.
Yeah.
I got everything prepped, and I didn't step foot in the house until we were through inspection.
Yeah.
I just stayed somewhere else. So
People need, like, if they're going to do themselves, they actually need a very detailed list. Like, I would, again, AI that. And I'm talking about wipe out the microwave, wipe down cabinet covers. Like, if it's a dirty house, every surface needs to be touched.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if you want, especially if you can only do
If
3
possible.
things
Yeah.
and you can't update everything,
Right.
you better walk in and feel like it's outdated, but it's been well taken care of. It's pared down and packed up, and it's clean as a whistle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say to that, we suggest cleaning off utilities, meaning
Like the furnace,
furnace, boiler, hot water heater, electrical panel.
make it look like it's been loved.
Make it look like it's been touched more than once in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
You don't want
Change
an
your
inch of
filters.
sawdust on top of your, or dust, or sawdust.
Depends
Sounds
on
like
how
a
you spend your
burning
free
hazard,
time.
but you don't want a bunch of dust on top of your hot water heater.
No.
You want it to look like it's been
Yeah.
focused on.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like those 2 are pretty simple.
Yeah. They're not
Or like
obvious.
obvious. Hopefully.
Okay. Number 3.
What would
Do you have your
number
number 3?
be?
I haven't thought about it yet. Let me think. If you have one, go. I'm thinking. You can do. I think I have it.
I would probably focus next on front door entry area. Because there's psychology about well, first there's just time where people are standing waiting for the agent to open the lockbox. And
which can take a long time.
yes, that is true. Yep. Lockboxes are not all created easy.
No,
Some of them
especially
are
not in the winter when they're
tricky. Oh,
frozen shut.
the worst.
Your fingers are Reynaudy. Anyways, keep going.
I was like, what's Reynaudy? I got it.
Reynauds, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Renault.
Is it really?
I think so.
Oh, gosh.
But I'm not positive. I have
Is it a French? You have it too?
Mm-hmm.
Do your toes get weird?
Mostly my fingers.
Yeah,
but
me too.
the whole bottoms of my feet
Do you
sometimes
think
go
we
numb.
have ADHD?
Did you think? Anyway, for me, okay, so you're standing there, and I explained this to my sellers. What's going to happen? We just went and looked at a house. What happened? You stood there and you started making a judgment for the 1 to 3 minutes that it took us to get inside the house, and you started really looking at the front of the house. So if there's peeling paint right at the front of the house, if the front door has dog scratches all over it or is like really banged up, I think certain people will write the house off before they even walk in the front door because they'll just get in their brain, oh my gosh.
They don't take care of the house.
And we've got 6 projects out here that we need to take care of.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Is there seasonal flowers in a pot near the front door? Is there a fresh welcome mat? Is there a railing that's loose or is it nice and tight and makes sense? I just looked at a duplex for myself and the front steps had pulled away from the house 8 inches. I mean, you could fit a foot in there.
That's scary.
It was bad.
There's animals living in there, I bet.
There was a lot of spray foam involved.
Oh,
But-
what?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and this is, we're
jeez.
talking $785 list
What?
price. And
Dudes, come on.
And I kind of wrote it off right there because
Yeah.
I was like, this has been a problem for a really long time. And this was the side that I knew the owner had lived in. And I was like, if this owner didn't care about that,
What else do they not care about?
they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't have pride of home ownership. So
Yeah.
even I, as an agent, was like, ugh,
Yeah.
this doesn't make me feel good. What other deferred maintenance are they
Right.
just saying, I'm not spending money on that?
Right.
And it was funny because I actually went to an open house to look at it, and the listing agent was there, and I know her, and she pretty much said that she just didn't care about that. It was never a thing for her, so she has never spent money on it. And I was like, oh, don't say that, because
Yeah.
I just think this is a person that doesn't care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my guests walking up those stairs.
No, I know.
Like, that is a liability just waiting. That's like broken
Somebody's gonna
ankle
break their
waiting to
ankle,
happen.
yeah.
Anyway, so I would say
Front entry.
front entry focus.
Yep.
And whatever that means.
That's
because
good.
for different people with different budgets, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it's washing the front door.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And making sure there's not cobwebs. Sometimes it's getting a new front door. You know, sometimes it's putting new front steps in. Jen.
Yeah, I know. I had to do that when I sold my house. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Okay. This is tough. I'm imagining that this is an outdated old house with like yellow and burnt orange wallpaper
I love it.
like nasty avocado green paint that's not the in style kind. I think neutralizing the walls, if they have a little bit of money to do that, because it also adds to the clean factor and fresh scent. Not that you want it to smell like paint in there, but if it's an old danky kind of house, you know what I mean? It walks
Yeah.
in and it smells like the windows haven't been open in 3 years or something.
Yeah.
Along those lines, cleaning, like open the windows, like air the house out a little bit, let it breathe. You know, you got to let them breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the house breathe.
Yeah, I think neutralizing the walls. I feel like it's like along lines of staging with furniture. And it just freshens things up, makes it feel clean. If they're already like a neutral color and they're clean enough, that wouldn't probably be my number 3. But I'm assuming they're not.
The home in your head.
The home in my head needs some love. Yeah. I don't know if the carpet is really bad and really old and the walls are, I might do the carpet over the walls. Like if you get,
Yeah.
but this is also what budget do they have? We don't know, but it would be like surface-y stuff. Like
Yeah.
if the carpets are nasty.
Or trip hazards.
Yeah.
Pull 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. Sure.
Fun game. Next time I think we could go all the way in on this.
Yeah, but next week we're not doing it.
No, but another time.
Because you made me write down what we're talking about.
We're talking about big whys next week.
Okay.
We're talking about how to find your life's purpose next week.
And then make a plan around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could probably do a little series on business building too.
Mm-hmm. Well, or just business planning.
Yeah.
My team is business planning actually next Wednesday.
Oh, that's fun.
So I'll be all prepped, but for our business planning sessions, I can kind of bring the things that we work on. Because everybody on the team has been in the business now for 6, 7, 8+ years.
They know how to do it.
My newest people, they know the basics of numbers. How do you get to your numbers? So this year we're changing things up a little bit and having it be a little more strategy to get to those numbers. And if strategy isn't working, how are you holding yourself accountable? And then some vision stuff.
That's
because
so good.
I think that some of the big whys are sometimes not there strong enough to pull people through to a goal, or they just throw a number down and it's not a real goal. That doesn't mean
anything. Yeah.
So
great.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's all for this week's episode of Real Estate Done Rightish.
Nailed
Until
it.
next time. Cheers to doing it rightish.
How fast?
You decide. We don't want it slow, but we don't want it I mean, it could be funny if you do it fast.
I don't know how fast I can do it. We'll try. I'll just do it as fast as it feels okay. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general knowledge and informational purposes only and do not constitute professional, legal, or financial advice. As licensed real estate agents in the state of Minnesota, we are not attorneys, financial advisors, or tax professionals, and we cannot provide advice in those areas or in regards to any agency or broker-specific topics in any other state. Any reliance you place on the information provided in this podcast is strictly at your own risk. We strongly encourage you to consult with qualified professionals for specific guidance related to your individual circumstances.
Wow! That was good.
Thanksgiving.
I know.
Aggressive.
That's the point.
Oh boy.
You're going to have to make that comment again once I say it.
Okay. Jen's really excited about Thanksgiving.
Wait.
Turkeys are your favorite animal.